What's up, guys? It's Flash. I think I'm gonna start a new series, maybe a daily video or every other day. I'm not really sure yet, but it's called the Hurdle Rate series, where we take a look at some tickers and we measure them against the hurdle rate or what the performance against Bitcoin, right? So here, for example, we have MSTR against US dollars, right, on the top here. And then this red line is MSTR versus Bitcoin, denominated in Bitcoin. Ultimately, I want to be looking for assets, tickers, and just for fun, really, that could be outperforming Bitcoin, right? So obviously, MSTR looks really good on the USD chart. You know, we are up in these channels. That maybe there's this parabola here. Looks like we're getting a little bit sketchy here towards the top of this parabola. We're going to find out. But when we pull up against the hurdle rate against Bitcoin, you know, when we really zoom out. You know, ever since MSTR started buying Bitcoin, like I think it was right around August 2020, which is like right here, you know, we can maybe take a look at their performance against Bitcoin, right? And so here's what we can do is we can kind of maximize the screen and, you know, kind of put some drawings here just to get a general sense of what MSTR has been doing. So we're at the top end of this range. You know, I consider this to be kind of like a Wyckoff accumulation. I'm not really sure, but you know, we're kind of consolidating at the top end of this range. Now, when we go back to this chart, what we can do is MSTR measured in Bitcoin. So it's just a ratio, right? We want to select which Bitcoin, want to select which ticker for MSTR, and just hit enter, right? And now we can play with this on kind of the real chart. And so what I like to do, we're on the weekly time frame. I'm going to go ahead and put the Ichimoku cloud on and the 30-week moving average. And we can hide the drawings for now. And so again, this is on the weekly time frame. I just want to get a sense of where we're at in terms of the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly, the 30-week SMA. This is just a good solid time frame to get a feel for where something is. And as you can see when we zoom in, like the 30-week moving average is flatlining. We're kind of ducking below the Ichimoku cloud. The Ichimoku cloud is red. So this isn't a great look right now for where we are. We want to see this exit and move up and to the right very quickly, I think, if we want to keep outperforming MSTR. So all that said, like it's difficult for me to kind of find an asset that looks this good against Bitcoin, right? If we put it on the monthly time frame, it's kind of a different story, right? When we really zoom out, obviously, you know, Bitcoin was outperforming MSTR before it started acquiring Bitcoin, before it had its strategy. And so now, I mean, this is kind of on the monthly, it looks really good, right? There's really clear skies here above us where we have an inclining 30-month moving average and we're above the Ichimoku cloud on the monthly, right? So long term, this looks really good to continue outperforming Bitcoin. I would say on the weekly, you know, there's some work to do. So that is MSTR. But what I wanted to do was look at Metaplanet. And we'll look at the 3350 ticker. This is on, I believe, the TSE, Tokyo Stock Exchange, right? So when we click into Metaplanet, again, when we really zoom out, you know, this stock has been, I mean, it was a hotel company in Japan, right? And, you know, I would say there was much to be desired when we look at the stock against US dollars. Actually, this is against JPY. So here recently, like Metaplanet's been on an awesome run. You know, we're above the 30-week moving average, above the Ichimoku cloud. Looks like we're coming back to test the 30-week moving average. When we zoom out and we look at it against Bitcoin, the hurdle rate, right? We're gonna really zoom out here. I mean, we can start to put some drawings on this too. So, you know, looks like, you know, this could be some sort of bottoming formation against Bitcoin. We're definitely into some sort of resistance here. And again, what I can do is type in, we'll go Metaplanet, measured in Okay, so now we can kind of really get zoomed in here again on the weekly chart, right? So maybe we start out on the monthly this time. So on the monthly, we're still in the thick of it on the cloud, right? But we're above the moving average, the 30-month moving average, and we want to get out of this cloud if we're Metaplanet fans, right? And so again, we can kind of put some lines on here just to get a general sense of, is this a bottoming pattern versus Bitcoin? Is it not? I think we could probably put on something like this even. I don't know, that might be aggressive. And then when we zoom in onto the weekly, so the weekly looks pretty good, right? We're above the 30-week moving average, above the Ichimoku cloud, but it looks like we're kind of into resistance here on the weekly against Bitcoin, against the hurdle rate, right? So, I'm not sure if this is a bottoming pattern quite yet. I think we need a little bit more data. I think we can probably confidently say, yes, Metaplanet's going to continue to outperform Bitcoin when it gets above, this white line. So, what we can do is add an alert on the trend line. It can alert us when we are crossing up. Once per bar close, we're on the weekly. So once the weekly chart closes above this white line, we're going to know Metaplanet has closed above this white line on Bitcoin and should be continued to outperform Bitcoin, I guess. So moral of the story, guys, this is a new series, kind of a fun, maybe daily or every other day video. If you guys want to request a ticker or a chart or a ratio, my priority is looking at these things against Bitcoin. But drop me a like if you guys found this helpful. I will see you guys in the next one.